Hi guys, it's James from Rushax Web Design here. So I just wanted to create a video focusing specifically on the benefits of using analytics software. In this video we're going to be covering specifically Google Analytics, primarily just because it's one of the most sort of sought after analytics softwares, one of the best, and it's also free as well for all users. So we're not going to specifically discuss setting it up in this video. I'm going to keep that sort of segregated. What we're going to do is look at just the benefits and how it can be useful for your business as well. So obviously you've got your website here, and when this is installed, either in the header or the footer of the website, then essentially it will start recording all of the visitors that visit your website, regardless of whatever page they're on. And so once you're in the setup, you can find these analytics. You can go into analytics at analytics.google.com once you've registered an account and set it all up. And this is what the sort of homepage looks like. It gives you a nice sort of overview or breakdown, if you like, of all of the visitors that have visited your website, but we can dig a lot further into detail regarding what these metrics are and how many visitors we've had, etc. So from this initial view, we've got the users, sessions, bounce rate, and session duration. I'll come on to those in a minute. But then also we've got this active users right now. And so we can actually see in real time who's actually viewing the website. So on this, currently at the moment, it's actually me. It's just myself. We can see by the / URL. But say if we just navigate to one of our web design pages. Okay, so that's now loaded, so that will now start tracking us. We'll probably have to just quickly refresh the screen here. And there we go, we can see that the new top active pages, we can see that we're currently tracking / web design with one user, which is myself at the moment. So we can also see, which is a great benefit, the real-time users that are visiting the website. If you've got quite a large, extensive website with a lot of views, a lot of different pages, a lot of different products potentially for e-commerce websites, you can see all of these different sort of analytics features right there in real time. If you wanted to sort of look over a sort of data set like we've got in this example, it allows you to quickly flick through sort of 7 days, 28 or 90. But also we're just going to sort of go to a different view just to see that in a little bit more detail, a bit more granular sort of detail as well. So if we go to an audience and overview, then we'll be able to see a sort of date range. So we can see a nice little graph here. It shows us how many users are visiting the website. We can also set custom sort of data times. So if we wanted to look, for example, for the whole of February, we can just specify these two parameters here and just click apply, and then this will update this graph with the new sort of stats. So we can see a nice sort of breakdown of day to day. Now, usually, it's important in business to identify these sorts of trends. So for example, in a lot of businesses, that will be the case. You see the gradual drops every now and again, and you might be sort of wondering what that is. And so it gives you and your business a lot of information regarding how your users are coming to the website, what's the most popular times to advertise and things like that. So for example, we can see that there's quite a dip here. So we've got Friday the 7th to the 8th to the 9th, and then again here. And so we can already start to see a trend, which I know from my experience is just basically the weekend. Ultimately, you don't usually get as much visitors or as much traction on your website throughout the weekends. So now we can sort of just make sure that that is actually the case by just making the date range greater. And look, again, we can see the sort of date ranges, they're starting to fall again throughout the sort of weekend sort of periods as well. So I think that can be a huge benefit for businesses as well. But there's a lot more to sort of Google Analytics as well that we haven't even touched upon yet. So ultimately, you've got users and new users. Users will be the sort of returning users, and so this is why this figure is sort of less. So ultimately, we can see that we don't have as many returning users. Well, we have not very many returning users, which is, maybe in your industry that you might want to try and increase that sort of retention rate. Maybe you want visitors to come back to your website to view new products or new information that is being released, maybe potentially through email marketing campaigns, etc. But let's just have a look further down. So we've got the amount of page views, page sessions, and also bounce rate. So a lot of people think the higher the bounce rate, the better. But it's actually lower the bounce rate, the better. This means that users are staying on the page longer. And we can also see a nice little breakdown there with that little pie chart of new versus returning users. So we can also see the languages and the amount of where people are essentially situated in the country who are visiting your website. And we can break this down by language or even country or even city as well. So, I mean, we're based in the UK, so you would actually expect our UK sort of population to be on the top, but we do actually have a lot of US clients as well. So, and the website is sort of generic in regards to sort of web design and sort of tools. And so therefore we can sort of see that, United States and then followed by India is actually, the most popular countries that visit our website, which isn't a bad thing in my sort of area. But, for the sort of local service and business providers, they would primarily want one specific country and one specific potential area or city. So we can even break this down into city as well. This will give the global stats, but if we wanted to only view a specific country, so for example, the UK where we are, we can click into the UK and then it gives us this nice little region. And so if you were a service provider only covering, say, London, then we can sort of see that we've had 4 users from Scotland that aren't really applicable in the sort of date range that we've mentioned. So we can see this is still recording the December to February. And so we can actually go down one more sort of factor and go into the cities. And so we can see that London was primarily, we're based in Southeast London. So we can see that we're targeting the right sort of area if we were a service provider based in that area. But, I find these tools really useful because sometimes, you might be ranking for a key term, say London, London web design or London plasterer, etc. But sometimes, there are the same city also referenced somewhere else in the world. So from prior experience, I know that there's another London, a town or city called London based in the United States. And so you might be ranking for that specific term in another country. So you might be seeing users potentially from different countries. So it's all just good information that you're learning about the people that are visiting your website. You can also see the bounce rate per city as well. So maybe they're higher or lower than others. And so we can see a higher bounce rate for Coventry, and so they've obviously jumped back off the page. So we might want to sort of, specifically target or create a new page targeting Coventry, for example, so to try and lower that bounce rate, keep people interested in the website and keep them converting. So there's a lot more, for example, acquisition. This just shows you the sort of attribution of where these leads are coming from. So there's a lot of different places of where they could potentially come from. Just going to click here just to view all of the potential channels. And so we've got organic search. Now, a lot of these terms, I don't want to sort of confuse you. Organic search just means someone's popped onto Google and they've clicked your listing. But there's 2 types of that. So they break it down into Google AdWords if you're running sort of PPC campaigns, which is pay per click. So essentially advertising on Google, or you've got organic search. So if I was just to type in, Rushax, and then it's one of these listings. We're not paying for this listing, so it's not an advertisement, and so therefore that would be attributed to an organic search. Now, direct is where someone's typed in the exact URL or clicked a link potentially from potentially a message or over text message. Whereas if they did that from a social media event, so let's say a Facebook post or a tweet from Twitter, or say a post from LinkedIn, this will come under social as well. Whereas referral, we tend to sort of see referrals coming from sort of citation or directory sites, such as for the popular tradesmen, electricians, plumbers, plasterers. We sort of see these usually coming from sort of Yale, Checkatrade, My Builder, Top Rated Builder, etc. So this is a great way to sort of track, how users are visiting your website and seeing which is having the best impact. So, let's say that you were a contractor and you signed up to check a trade, for example, and you wanted to sort of measure how many people were visiting the website from your check a trade listing, then this would be categorized under the referral. And so we can see and identify that and see how powerful it is in our marketing efforts, and see whether it's been sort of a cost-effective solution to continue on to next year, or it might be a sort of monthly subscription. All I would say is, make sure that you get enough data to track over sort of a couple of months, I'd say 6 months minimum, just so that you've got a reliable data set, to go by, rather than just sort of assuming just for one particular month that's the way it is and making some sort of rash decisions from there. So another thing I just wanted to cover, we've got sort of behaviors and events, but I don't think we've got enough time in this video to sort of cover it. But I also wanted to sort of discuss conversions. Now, we haven't set up conversions on this website just because we've been sort of inundated with inquiries, web designs, search engine optimization campaigns and things like that. But I was also sort of planning, I think it'd be really useful just to run through a tutorial on how to set this up in a future video. But I just want to sort of touch upon it and how this can be useful. So if you have an e-commerce store, then essentially every transaction that comes through your website, you can record what's called a conversion. So this would be, what exactly you want from your customer, whether they're buying a product, and that might be, buying a product on your website, as I mentioned, with an e-commerce store. And so what you can do is set a goal. And so that you set a goal of that they've put it into the cart, for example, or that they've finalized the purchase with a monetary value assigned to that goal or conversion. And so over time, you can start collecting this data and you can start seeing how much money has been generated from your particular sales inquiries. Now, I don't want you to just think that this is solely for e-commerce stores, because it's not. There's a lot of different other conversions that we can use just for any sort of brochure sites. For example, just to try and get users to call or send in, get in touch essentially. So for example, we have 3 possible routes for the customer to get in touch with us. We have a phone call, and we have web forms, and if you are looking to implement it as well, live chat on your website as well. So there's 3 ways that a customer can potentially convert from just a visitor into what we like to define as a lead. Now, a lead doesn't necessarily mean it's a definite go ahead, but it means that it's a potential prospect for you to convert into, whatever service you're trying to provide. And so we can track this every time that they either, click to call. For example, if there's on a mobile and they click to call using a button on your website, fill out a form, like I said, or initiate a live chat as well. So these can be recorded, and you can see how many are happening on a sort of day-to-day basis. And you can track these over the week or over the month or even by the hour as well. So you can see roughly what times are people getting in touch, what is the most common or most effective source of a conversion for your website and for your visitors to gain into potential prospects or leads for you to follow up with. So that, I think, just gives a nice sort of overview of Google Analytics, some of the benefits that you can use and how to sort of fully utilize it to its sort of maximum potential to try and influence other sort of marketing ideas or revenue streams that you may potentially have for you and your business. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, give it a like or thumbs up and comment below. And if you're looking for any other sort of types of videos, then we'd be happy to sort of take recommendations. Thanks very much for listening, guys. Take care.